Good morning, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. You know me. My name is Hasan Zeki Alp. I'm lecturing you modern programming languages, and today we are going on with our lesson 3 in Java lessons. Without wasting any time, I'd like to start up our lessons. This is lesson 3, and we're going on with the Java Java file 25. We go on with our loops. As you remember, we can establish loop structure by using for command, and within the brackets, within the parentheses, we construct loop components. This is the initial value. So our our variable both is assigned and initialized as 0, and after that we construct, we define upper value upper limit. So I will be less than 10. So maximum value of I can be 9. So this is the increment value. It can be increased in this case one by one. So this is the method that can be recalled within this loop. I can show you like this. Okay, this is the loop that can be repeated as long as this condition is met. So the other parts, you know that this file name should be the class name, as you remember, and you don't have to forget semicolons, right, like this, and you have to care about the curly brackets. Just look here. This is closed, open, closed. This is open, closed, and this is also open, closed. So let's make it run this snippet. Okay. 10 times of welcome should have been printed on the screen. So just instead of counting one by one, I have to I want to add a counter here. And after adding this counter, okay, starting from 0 up to 9. Okay, just we could prefer it E plus 1, so as to be starting number 1. Okay, like this. This is I plus 1, and this is I plus 1 also corresponds to number 10. Just you can see the difference here. This is concatenated, and there is an empty space here, and it works like this. And how about the other loops example? Here, and this is the initial value. Okay, this is the upper value. So this is the increment. So just you can see the result when you print this, starting from 2 up to 9. It's gonna be print out the I squared. Okay. Maybe you can wonder about why only two numbers are printed on the screen. Just I can show you that when the counter becomes 4, 2 plus 2, it's returned here, and it tries to 5. However, 5 times 5 will be 25, so it's out of this limit, so only 2 and 4 will be printed. And let's give another example. Do while loops. Here this is the do loop structure, okay, like this, and out of the do curly brackets there should be a while keyword. So I define a variable x here, okay. X is initialized as 1, and within this do block I use x variable as parameter for this print line method, okay, without doing anything else. And after that I have to increase this counter, of course, just I call it counter, and this operation, these things will be performed as long as x less than 5. So let's make it run. Okay, up to 5, excluding 5 numbers will be printed out. Just I can mention this, that let's assume it becomes 4 after increment this value, and as long as this condition is met, so it's performed this line, okay, for 4, and it's incremented by 1. It becomes 5, and there will come a comparison with 5. So this condition will not be met. So without returning to do block, it's gonna quit this block, and program ends here. How about our another do while loops example? I here want to give another example. The initialization value, the initial value for x equals to 1. So here I'd like to print out the value of x once again, and after that I want to increase it, and this is the condition, while condition, and while condition corresponds to negative numbers. We are looking for negative numbers here. However, our initial value is 1, does not meet this condition. However, in this case, do loop will be performed at least once, okay? Because this condition comes later, so this way or that way, this method will be recalled and print out the value of x equals to 1. Maybe you can at the first glance might be saying that it's not print out anything. Just walking see that. Only 1 is printed out, and as long as it sees that it's not met this condition, it directly goes outside. And how about loop control statements? Here I define a variable x once again, and as long as x greater than 0, do this, and after that make a comparison. If x equals to 4, so it's gonna break, and that's all. After outside the loop, the variable x will be increased by 1. Just let's focus on here. The condition is x as long as greater than 0. So at the very beginning our condition is met, so just we can say that this loop will be performed, and this loop will be performed up to 4. Just we can see that that's to say 3 will be printed out, okay, will be increased when we see here, and when it becomes 4, okay, it's gonna break out. It's gonna break out because this condition will be performed. Let me show you the code, the result. Okay, here maybe you can ask that why x is printed, because there is a break here and this condition is met. Just we can say that before this comparison, when it becomes 4, it's already printed out, right? And after that it controls this one, and it breaks. Just if we want to not to write to be written 4, so this condition must be before this line, okay. This is another example, loop control statements, for loop control statements. This is the initial value, okay, x 10, and this is the decrement value. So just we can say that it's gonna be print out decreasing numbers from 10 down to 4. Just another example. I can say that it's gonna print out 5, okay, and 4 also. However, 3, 2, 1 will not be printed out. Okay, as you see, starting from 10 down to 4. It's printed out. However, 4 is included, but 3, 2, 1 will not be printed out. This is another example. Just don't see here. Okay, it's forbidden for the time being. And this is another example for loop control. The initial value is 10 for x, and I here make a comparison. This is the while loop, as you can see, okay, while loop here, and as long as x greater than 10, so this method will be recalled, and after that there will be an comparison here. If x equals to 12, so it's going to break out, and our loop, while loop, will be break here, and out of the do loop, we have to increase our variable, increment variable. So just when we look here, x is initialized as 10, and this is the comparison. If x greater than 10, does the condition be met? Is the condition be met for this case? No. So just we can say that it prints nothing, in fact. Okay, as long as the condition does not met, so it's not gonna print out even if once. Okay. Okay, it's finished and with exit code 0, that means no error. However, it's not it does not print anything. The reason is that the initial value does not meet the condition to start up this loop, this while loop, okay. Here I give another example. The initial value is 10, so I here added equality here, greater or equal to 10. That means it's gonna start up while loop, and it is printed here the value of x, and right away I make a comparison here, another comparison. If x equals to 10 and break, just we can say that as soon as this is printed, this loop will be break, because there is a condition here without increasing the value, because increment process, increment command will be performed after this line. So it prints only 10. Just prints once and it prints 10. Okay, as you can see, the result is contains only one number. This is another as an example for continue. Before was break, and this is another controlling command, controlling keyword. Okay, let's focus on this structure, guys. This is the initial value, okay, x. This is the upper limit for controlling, and this is the increment value, so it's gonna increase 10 by 10, and starting value is 10. This is equality. There is an equality here, so 40 will be included, and there is another controlling mechanism here. If x equals to 30, continue. That means do nothing, and just pass the other line. So this is the block, inside block, and after that a print line method is called, and the other part is the same. Let me run this file. Okay, it's performed for the first time for 10. Okay, it's gonna perform for 20. Just look here. Each time it's incremented by 10. Okay, 10 is printed or here, and how about this one? 20 will be printed. Okay, as when the order comes to when the turn is comes to 30. Okay, this condition is performed, is met, so it's gonna continue. That means do nothing, and it's outside the block, just you can see, and after that, after the next turn, it's gonna be 40, and 40 actually meets the condition. So just these three numbers will be printed out on the screen, excluding 30. When you want to one number is not to be printed out, just we can use continue keyword. Do while loop, this is another example, initialized as 1, and I simply print out the value of x, and x is incremented, and outside of the block I make a comparison so as to be compared with 5, less than or equal to 5, so including 5, it's gonna be printed out the other numbers. Okay, including 5. It's gonna print out the other numbers starting from 1. Maybe you can ask why 5 is included, because this condition is still going on, is still valid, so it's gonna print out for 5 also. And how about next one? Another example for do while loop. The initialization value is 10 here, and within do block, okay, it's printed and it's decremented line by line. Okay, this decremented by 1. This notation stands for that. And while x greater or equal to 5, do this. Okay, this do loop will be performed for that. Just we can say that starting from 10 up to down to 5, it's going to be printed. However, 4, 3, 2, 1 will not be printed. When we run this one, we can see that. Okay, just like this, 10, 9, blah 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 blah, and 5. However, 4, 3, and the others will not be printed out. This is the controlling mechanism. Just I can show you another example. This is the initialization value for x, okay, and x will be decreased by 1 after we recall print line method, and this is the keyword for comparison. And here I say that if x greater or equal to 10, so just it's a bit confusing here, because just I think that after it's printed the value for the first time as 10, it's gonna decrease, and it becomes a 9. Okay, and this condition will not be met because 9 actually is less than 10. However, within do block, this condition, this method will be performed this way or that way while it is compared. At least it's gonna print out once, only one time. I mean, only 10 will be printed out, because comparison becomes later. So it's already it's gonna be printed already here. Okay. Okay, as you can see, just 10 printed is printed once. Here I'd like to show you another example. This is the initialization value, and it is compared with 7, including 7, less than or equal to 7. So this phrase will be printed out each time, and this is the string concatenation. The value of x will be printed out here, and after that look, semicolon, and it's incremented by 1. So just we can say that starting from 1 up to 7, it's gonna print out 7 times in the loop blah 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 x. It's gonna be print out numbers. Okay, like this in the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just by adding a plus sign. This is another example. Okay, I define two variables, a and b, is initialized 24 and 12, and within if block, as long as this condition is met, okay, other saying, as long as the result of this comparison becomes true, the next line will be performed, will be recalled. So this is acceptable, will be printed. However, just when we see this logical comparison, if a greater than 18, okay, the first part is met. That means it's gonna give a true result. And if b less than 30, okay, this part also is met. So the result of this comparison will become true, and true and true will give a result of true. And that means true will not be printed out, of course. That means if the result is true, that means 1. So the next line will be performed. This is going to print out only once. This is acceptable. Will be printed out on the screen. This is acceptable. Just you can enrich this comparison. You can prefer to give the components variables from the users, and you can make another combined comparison, etc. And as a result, you can give a message for the user showing the result of this comparison. Okay, this is the end of lesson 3. This is our last example for this lesson. I define here an age variable 24, and this is the height 170, and this is a comparison. Age if age greater than 8 and age less than 40. So just we're looking for a handsome guy or girl for this one. Let's imagine for this. Okay, and this is a nested if structure. In fact, I construct another comparison, if comparison here. Height is greater or equal to 170. Okay, as long as both these two conditions are met, so it's gonna print out this method. You are eligible, and let's run it and see the result. Or you are eligible is printed out. Let's review once again. Age is 24, okay, meets this condition. Height is 170, okay, height meets also this condition, and the result is printed out. Okay, this was the end of lesson 3 in Java lessons, you guys. I hope you are following easily and understandably, and I wish you a sunny day for the rest of these hours, for the rest of this day, and bye bye. Thanks for your watching me.